friends, this is Sriram Shastri. I once again welcome you back to my video session. So this is the video regarding the comparative anatomy of brain. It is the continuation of the last part. The first part was about the primitive vertebrates, that is cyclostomes and teleost fish. Up to teleost fish, three brains we had discussed in detail with their structural changes and structural modifications. Now this video, what the diagrams you can see on the board. Okay, so how to draw the diagrams of these brain, I have made a separate video on it. You can visit my channel for what you call as observing how to draw the diagrams of these brain in different animals. Okay, so these are the 5 diagrams of brains. The first one is of a perch, it's a bony fish. The second one is of a frog. The third one is of a snake. The fourth one is of a pigeon, and the last one is of a sheep. So starting from bony fish, amphibian, reptile, bird and mammals. So comparative anatomy of these brains we have to discuss. The board is too small, so I have somehow accommodated these 5 diagrams on the board with the labelings. So kindly cooperate with this. So if you talk about the first type of the brain, that is of a perch. Okay, so you can see very clearly here they have enlarged olfactory bulbs. Olfactory bulbs are connected to a long olfactory tract, and they have small bulbular structures called olfactory lobes. They have a very small cerebral hemispheres or cerebral structures, and they have a pineal body here, which is a smaller one. Again, optic lobes are very large. Cerebellum, the region of cerebellum is too short. Then medulla oblongata and spinal cord is as usual. Okay, the medulla oblongata and spinal cord is as usual. Now if you talk about the what you call as bony fishes, they generally have a very simplified brain. They don't have much what you call as decision making and cognitive ability. The cerebral hemispheres are smaller. Only the major functional parts which are more developed are olfactory and optic lobe structures are very well developed in them. If you talk about the amphibians, here in amphibians you can see a very clear division of the lobes in with respect to cerebral structures, spinal body, optic lobes, etc. So the beginning of this, there is no olfactory bulbs as such here, but olfactory lobes are as usually present. These olfactory lobes lead to two divided cerebral hemispheres, or what you call a cerebrum. Now they have an enlarged cerebrum. If you compare the fishes to amphibians, the size of what you call as the cerebrum is increased in volume. So probably the ability of usage of brain is also increased compared to the fishes. Optic lobes are large as usual. Here also they were large, and here also they were large. Now what difference you further see here is the cerebellum is furthermore developed compared to the fishes. Now bony fishes, if you see here, very small cerebellum is present. Here a somewhat enlarged structure compared to the previous category. They have somewhat larger cerebellum. Sorry. Now cerebellum continues into the medulla oblongata, and medulla oblongata continues into the spinal cord. If you compare it to the next reptilian brain, now reptilian brain, once again they have a very good olfactory structures developed. So they have olfactory bulbs, olfactory tracts and olfactory lobes which are present at the anterior side of the cerebral hemisphere. Now if you compare the size of cerebrum, here it is smaller, here it is somewhat large, here it is still somewhat large. Now the cerebrum is developed, so they have somewhat more developed ability of usage of brain compared to that of the frogs. Now if you talk about the optic lobes are fused and they are a bit quite smaller than compared to that of the amphibians. Okay, so as we know very clearly, snakes usually have a very poor vision. Most of the snakes don't have very clear vision. Few of them have a good vision, but most of them do not have a very good vision. Instead they depend on olfaction more. They have a separate organ in the roof of their mouth called Jacobson's organ. In the Jacobson's organs, they help in the process of olfaction and taking the what you call as chemicals present in the air with the help of the forked tongue and understanding their environment by smell. As usually the cerebellum is what you call as quite smaller here once again, and there is development of medulla oblongata and spinal cord, which is as usual. Now if you compare the next bird's brain, now the bird's brain is quite furthermore developed than this. What kind of difference you can see there is cerebellum is more prominently developed here. Optic lobes are also separately prominently developed there also. Cerebral hemispheres are quite very much well developed and very large. Okay, so the olfactory bulbs are prominent at the anterior side of the cerebrum, but unfortunately they are not so well developed. So sense of smell in birds is well developed in few birds, not in all birds. If you compare certain predator birds, certain scavenging birds, they have a very well developed sense of smell. If you talk about frugivorous birds, they also have a very good sense of smell, but many birds do not have a very great sense of smell. Instead, they more depend on their brain. That cerebral cortex is very well developed. And if you talk about optic lobes, their vision in animal kingdom, they are in vertebrates, especially if you talk about very good vision power. Generally, birds are having a very strong vision conditions, and the power of vision is highest in them. As usually, there is a medulla oblongata and spinal cords. So if you talk about the last one, that is mammalian brain. Now the sheep's brain is very much similar to that of human brain also. Okay, in anatomical features it is very much similar. So here they are also having very largely, the most largest part of the brain is cerebral hemispheres. Now here clear division of the lobes is also seen of some parts, but some parts are fused there. So if you talk about cerebrum is quite very larger part of the brain. It is divided into left and right cerebral hemisphere. As usual it is in divided in birds also. You can see the what you call as olfactory lobes are reduced in the anterior part. They are smaller. Sense of smell is not so great in some of the mammals. If you talk about carnivores, they have a good sense of smell. Okay, now that differs from animal to animal. They have reduced optic lobes, and they are having a very large cerebral hemispheres and larger cerebellum also. Medulla oblongata and spinal cord is as usual. Now what major differences you come across in the anatomy of brain is the development of cerebrum in all the brain is different. It is very small in the beginning and it enlarges as it progresses into the categories of reptilians and mammals. So if you talk about the cerebrum, after that optic lobes also they go on somewhat reducing, I say. And if you talk about the olfactory lobes also go on reducing. If you talk about what increases is cerebrum and what increases is cerebellum. These two structures they increase according to their phylogenetic relationships, and they become more and more complex in nature. Now one more thing we can add here is about the cranial nerves. So the nerves that arise from the brain are called as cranial nerves. And if you talk about the cranial nerves here, generally cranial nerves in what you call as anamniotes, that is cyclostomes, fishes and amphibians, up to amphibians, they generally are having anamniote, they are not amphibians, we can say bony fishes, up to bony fishes. Okay, so these anamniotes generally are having 10 pairs of cranial nerves. So for up to frog, you can remember this. Okay, cyclostomes, fishes and amphibians, they are having 10 pairs of cranial nerves, that is 10 pairs of nerves arise from the brain. So they are 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Reptiles, birds and mammals, they are amniotes. They have an amniotic sac, and those animals generally consist around 12 pairs of cranial nerves. They are possessing 12 pairs of cranial nerves. So with this discussion, I would like to stop this video here itself. I hope you might have understood what are the variations of development in different animals with respect to brain and its comparison. So in the next video, I think we'll continue with the remaining parts of the anatomical features of comparative anatomy. If you have any questions on this, you are very much free to ask in the comments. Okay, so thank you.